Welcome back. The political stakes for Israel are escalating by the day in Washington as divisions over the war in Gaza become increasingly partisan. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's now thinking of inviting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to address Congress. Netanyahu has already spoken to Senate Republicans via video link. He called out Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer after Schumer recently urged Israelis to vote out Netanyahu, calling him an obstacle to peace. Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota is with me this morning to talk more about this. Senator, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. What did you hear from Bibi Netanyahu when he addressed your conference yesterday?
Number one, he thanked us for our strong support. He recognized that America was behind them. They want to move forward, but most certainly his focus was on the fact that they intend to go into Rafah. They intend to finish the war. They're not going to stop until they get done. He wanted to make it clear that it was a necessary part of the project moving forward, and they were going to do their best to minimize loss of life, but they were going to finish the job. And that was really the primary focus that he had is we need to finish this, because if we don't, then we are at stake, that this is an existential threat to Israel, and they have to recognize that, and he hoped that we understood.
How did he characterize what Senator Schumer had to say about elections in Israel?
He was disappointed. He made that clear. But he also, he understands that support for Israel needs to be bipartisan. And, he was not derogatory, but he simply said, look, they want America behind them. Now, he says, we're going to fight our own war. It's our guys that are in the field. It's our young men and women that are fighting, but we need your support. And he made it very clear that they wanted American support, and that they were going to continue, that it was not a question of whether or not they might or might not. It was a matter of they have to finish this. They have to clean out Hamas and then move forward and then demilitarize Gaza, make it safe, and then move forward.
Do you think Speaker Johnson inviting Prime Minister Netanyahu to address Congress would further that goal of bipartisan support for Israel, or would it be divisive?
I think anything that we can do to show bipartisan support long-term will be healthy. And I think, the fact that Mr. Netanyahu, once again, he came in, we requested that he come in and visit with us. He came in, he said what he had to say, but he recognizes that he wants this to be bipartisan. He did not appreciate what Senator Schumer said to him. He made that clear. Look, we should not be interfering in their domestic activities. They're a democracy. They have their own customs and so forth. That's not something that we should be involved with. And he made that pretty clear to us. But he still wants to bring this back to bipartisan in nature, bipartisan support, and that he needs the support of America. Israel needs support, and we need them in the Middle East, because if they weren't there, if they weren't our ally there, we would probably have more young men and women in harm's way in the Middle East right now.
Senator, let me ask you about another serious national security issue facing the Senate, and that's the potential ban of TikTok, or the forced sale, divestment of TikTok from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance. The House voted overwhelmingly to do this, and now your colleague, Senator Tom Tillis, your Republican colleague, has put out audio of a voicemail he says his office received from someone who's opposed to this. I want to show you what that was, and then we'll talk about it. Watch.
If you ban TikTok, I will find you and shoot you. That's people's jobs, and that's my only entertainment. And people make money out there too. I'm trying to get rich like that. Anyways, I'll shoot you and find you and cut you into pieces. Bye.
I mean, the laughter there very disturbing, but does this not illustrate the point that TikTok can and does influence Americans?
Yeah, look, there's two parts to this. The first part, and the most important part, is China is gathering information on American citizens. They know where you live. They know your zip code. They know who you're affiliated with. They know who you talk to. They know how you make your income in some cases. That is data that they can't get through other sources as easily as they can through TikTok. They're learning about us, and they're learning about families through this. But the other piece of this is what you see right here. They can mobilize very, very quickly And part of that is they're trying to influence, and they will influence in other countries right now. China is influencing in other countries today. We know that they have influenced in terms of elections and so forth. We don't want that to happen here in the United States. So it's a secondary issue for us right now as compared to the amount of data that they're gathering, but they're both very important. So young men and women share lots of information on TikTok that is being gathered. We simply want TikTok to divest. We think that it can still exist in the United States, but it's got to be separated from the folks, excuse me, from the Chinese Communist Party, which has direct access. Because if they actually have a nexus in China, which they do, then under Chinese law, any information that they have, they must make available to the Chinese government.
Right. So do you think Senator Schumer should put the House divestment bill on the Senate floor?
Yeah, look, well, I'm not so sure he should put it on the floor, but he most certainly should get it into a committee where it should be vetted. And then once that is complete, then we should move forward. But we should act on the bill one way or the other, either through the committee process first and then to the floor, or if we've got time on the floor, go directly to the floor and allow for an amendment process.
Understanding that the details may be at issue, would you vote generally for this divestment?
No question. Look, I'm on the Intel Committee. I'm on the Armed Services Committee. The classified information that we've received so far, I hope that at some point we can release more of it publicly. We've got to be careful how we do that because of the sources that it might very well, put in harm's way.
Yeah.
But we need to take care of this problem sooner rather than later.
Speaking of your seat on the Intelligence Committee, there was a classified briefing on TikTok in the Senate yesterday. I completely understand you can't reveal classified information, but what would your advice be to Americans who want to protect themselves with this based on what you have learned and what you know?
I would not share any more personal information or my connections to my relatives, where I work, who my closest friends are, my connections in the community. I wouldn't share that on TikTok. And the reason is because this is what China wants to learn about us. Like with the advent of artificial intelligence, AI, China has made it a really good point of learning about their own people. They can trace where their people are at in most cities all the time. They use that now in a police state to basically track individuals, to know who they are, what they're doing, whether or not they're behaving or not. The same thing, they'd love to learn more about our activities here. They want to know about American culture. They want to know about who our families are connected with. Just the beginnings of it is if they can go in and go to a TikTok user and say, we want you to contact your representative in your zip code, it is so-and-so, and then to try to influence that long term, that's the type of manipulation that China would love to have in the United States. It'll be subtle to begin with, but it will become more overt over time.
Very briefly, sir, we received a text of the appropriations package overnight that's designed to avert a partial shutdown at the end of the week. Just yes or no, are you confident you can avert a shutdown on Friday?
I'm not. Look,
cheerful.
here's the reason why. It takes hours to do it. The House has already committed that they were going to take some time and actually look at the bill itself. Here we are on Thursday. This expires tomorrow night at midnight. The Senate may not even get the bill until tomorrow or Saturday. And so there may be a shutdown over the weekend. I don't like that idea. I think this is a terrible way to run a government. This is a terrible thing to do to the country. This was supposed to be done last October. And so here we are. We're still working on last year's appropriation bills while we're trying to start on this year's appropriation bills that are supposed to be done in October. It's a terrible thing to do. There's no excuse for it. And we continue to put ourselves in this type of a program where we're getting it done after the fact. None of us are happy about it. And we hope that this is going to change with the change in the election this year.
All right, Senator Rounds, thank you very much for being with us this morning. I really appreciate your time today. All right, 55